There are things in life that don't make sense when you need them to. They make sense later, after time has already passed, after the moment is gone. Not because you were careless, not because you were stupid, but because some understandings arrive only when it's too late to use them. This is one of those realizations. Most people think realizations come from thinking. They don't. They come from living, from repeating the same days until something quietly clicks, usually after the cost has already been paid. That's why advice rarely works, not because it's wrong, but because timing is wrong. You can hear the truth 100 times and still not recognize it. Then one day, without warning, it suddenly feels obvious, and you wonder why you didn't see it sooner. One of the most dangerous assumptions people live with is the idea that time is flexible, that there will be a later version of life where everything can be addressed properly. Later, you'll slow down. Later, you'll be more present. Later, you'll fix what you ignored. But time doesn't work like that. It doesn't announce when a phase is ending. It doesn't warn you before a habit becomes permanent. Most endings feel ordinary while they're happening. That's why you don't notice them. Every life is built on trade-offs, but the dangerous ones don't feel like sacrifices. They feel reasonable. Comfort over curiosity, stability over honesty, peace over truth. Nothing feels wrong in the moment. The cost only becomes visible later, when you realize what you slowly stopped being. By then, the trade has already settled. Loss doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives as numbness, as routine, as days that blur together. You don't feel pain, you just feel less. Less urgency, less excitement, less resistance to things you once questioned. And because nothing hurts, you assume nothing is wrong. That's how most people drift instead of choosing. The realization usually comes in a quiet moment, not during chaos, not during crisis. It comes when life finally slows down enough for you to notice the gap between who you are and who you assumed you'd become. That's when it makes sense. Why certain choices mattered. Why certain delays weren't neutral. Why waiting was also a decision. But by then, the conditions are different. Energy is different. Freedom is different. Options are fewer. The realization is accurate, just late. This isn't a personal failure. It's structural. Modern life rewards postponement. You're encouraged to delay discomfort, delay honesty, delay confrontation with yourself. Nothing forces clarity early, so most people don't get it early. They get it after repetition has already shaped them. That's why late realizations are so common and so quiet. The hardest part is not the realization itself. It's understanding that you weren't unaware. You were simply not ready to accept what awareness required. Because early understanding often demands change, and change demands loss. So the mind waits until loss has already happened before allowing the realization in. Some things in life are designed to be understood only after they can't be applied. Not as punishment, not as irony, but because understanding too early would have required courage most people didn't yet have. That's uncomfortable to accept, but it's also honest. If this made sense to you, it probably didn't a few years ago, and that doesn't mean you were wrong back then. It just means this understanding arrived when it could. Some realizations don't come to guide you forward. They come to explain why certain chapters unfolded the way they did. And once you see that, you don't rush to fix anything. You just sit with it. Because now, at least, it makes sense.